Hello everyone, I'm back. And today we are going to talk about Space Marines. Again. Why? Because it's a big faction that almost everyone plays and almost everyone is interested in. Especially new players. But this video will be about the gameplay. We will talk about the Gladius Task Force. It is one of the 6 core detachments of the Space Marines. Lore-wise, this would go to the Ultramarines. But basically, this is for all the chapters that are following the Codex Astartes. But we will talk about that later. For now, you have to know the Gladius Task Force is maybe the most basic of the detachments. But that's not bad, that is actually a good one. It is a jack of all trades, master of none. However, if you can master it, you'll be able to dominate the tabletop and to dispense justice to the enemies of the Emperor. And that's not too shabby, am I right? Okay, basic information about Space Marines. They are good in everything, but not the best in anything. So, you fight better than Tau. You shoot better than Orcs. Usually. You are faster than Death Guard. And you have more bodies on the table than Custodes. What do I want to tell you with this? Well, if you want to win with Space Marines, you always have to think on the run. You have to adapt your strategies. And use your advantage to your advantage. Beat them in a game where they are weaker than you. And for that purpose, the Gladius Task Force is amazing. But before that, let's talk about the universal ability of Space Marines. Space Marines has this ability, Oath of Moment. This is a cool ability. Lore-wise, you make an oath that you will kill that thing. Space Marines often do this in the heat of combat. But what does it do on a tabletop? Well, at the start of your command phase, you choose a target that will be your oath target. And when you are making attacks against the oath target, either by shooting or by melee attacks, you can reroll all the hit rolls against that target. So you will be hitting that target much more reliably. Basically, you can pick a target and this ability will increase your damage out because almost all of your attacks will hit it. More hits, more damage. That's it about this basic ability. It's a cool one and all of the Space Marines have it. Now, let's talk about the detachment. Gladius Task Force. As I said, this detachment is incredibly versatile, although somewhat limited. Because in this, the Detachment Rule is Combat Doctrines, which gives you 3 incredible buffs, but each of them only lasts for a turn. Let's check out these. Combat Doctrines. At the start of your command phase, you can select one of the Combat Doctrines. And the effect of the Combat Doctrine will apply all of your Adeptus Astartes units. So all of the Space Marine units. It will not work on your Inquisitors, Assassins, and things like that. Let's check out these doctrines. First one, Devastator Doctrine. When you use this one, a unit that is affected by this doctrine is eligible to shoot even after advancing. Okay, so what does it do? It gives you extra mobility and you are able to shoot after that movement. It is really great if you need a few inches to reach a target with that plasma cannon or just to maneuver around some ruins, for example. More movement and shooting. That's a cool one. Let's check out the next one. Tactical Doctrine. When a unit is affected by this doctrine, the unit is eligible to shoot and declare charges in a turn which it fell back. Okay, so you don't want to be in melee with that unit, use this doctrine, fall back, shoot the thing that you want and charge another unit. This can work extremely well. Mobility, shooting and stuff. Or even just fall back and charge back again, and this way you can guarantee that you are fighting first. The Tactical Doctrine will give you extreme tactical flexibility, pun intended. And let's check out the last one, Assault Doctrine. The unit that is affected by the Assault Doctrine is eligible to declare charge in a turn with which it advanced. This is the doctrine that you want on your melee units. This will give you speed. You are moving, advancing and charging after that. With this burst of speed, you can surprise your opponent. One of the events that just happened now, one of the Dark Angels player used this ability and made 4 charges with the Deathwing Knight and Lionel Johnson. So the Assault Doctrine is a really great tool if you want to give your opponent a bad touch. Not that kind. All in all, greatly improves the threat range of melee units. Almost like a Devastator Doctrine, but this one improves your chances to take objectives from your opponents. Because with more movement, easier charge, easier to get there. Okay, that's it. This is the Detachment Rule. For this detachment, we have 4 enhancements. Let's talk about these. Artificer Armor for 10 points. This stuff is really great. I recommend you, if you have 10 points, just pick it up on one of your heroes that you really like. Let's check out what it does. for this 10 points. You can give it to Adeptus Astartes model only. The bearer will have better armor. It increases the armor save characteristic to a 2+, and it will also have a 5+ Feel No Pain. Which means your basic Space Marine armor will have as great saving quality as a Terminator armor. And the 5+ Feel No Pain is just chef's kiss. Enemy attacks. It goes through your armor or invulnerable save, you would take damage, but for each point of damage that you would have taken, you can roll 1d6. And if you roll a 5 or a 6, then that damage is not taken by your character. Usually, think like that. If your character has 6 wounds, with this, it will need around 8 or 9 damage to kill it. Unless the dice betrays you. But it is what it is. Let's check out the next one. This is for the melee guys. Honor Vehement. For 15 points. Again, you can only give this to Adeptus Astartes model. But let's check out what does it give to you. It adds 1 to the attacks and strength characteristic of the bearer's melee weapon. So stronger and more attacks. But this one is not just that. An interesting thing with this detachment, some of the enhancements or stratagems will give you a greater bonus if you are in the specific doctrine. And in this case, for the Honor Vehement, the specific doctrine is the Assault Doctrine. So the running and charging. If you are in Assault Doctrine, then you can add 2 to the attacks and to the strength characteristic of this weapon. So in the Assault Doctrine, you get even more attacks and you are even more powerful. Cool stuff. Let's check out the next one. Adept of the Codex. For 20 points. This is a little bit more strict. You can only give this to a captain model. Okay, let's check out what it can do. At the start of your command phase, if the bearer is on the battlefield, when you are selecting combat doctrines, or not selecting one, you can select the tactical doctrine to be active for the unit of the bearer. Even if it's just the captain by his lonesome, or with the unit that he is leading. So basically, you can activate the tactical doctrine for this unit anytime and every time if you want it. It's not bad, because your unit will be able to fall back, shoot and fight first, every time and anytime. It is kinda spicy. And also, it is great with the stuff that are buffing the tactical doctrine. We will see them at the stratagems part. Okay, let's check out the next one. The Fire Discipline Enhancement. While the bearer is leading a unit, the unit's ranged weapons has the ability of sustain hits 1. So in case of critical hits, you get 1 additional hit. But there is a little bit change. While the bearer's unit is under the effect of the Devastator Doctrine, you can reroll advance rolls made for that unit. That is especially good, because if you remember, the Devastator Doctrine gives you the ability to shoot even after advancing. So you can cover more distance reliably and still shooting well. That's it about the enhancements. They are really good, but each of them have a specific purpose, not a multi-purpose tool, except the Artificer Armor. But now, let's check out our 6th stratagem. Let's check out the first one, the one that we all know, love and hate. Armor of Contempt. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Not a long time ago, this was your best defensive stratagem, but now it's still great. However, it got nerfed a bit. Let's check out what it can do. You can use this in the fight or in the shooting phase. You can use this when one of your Adeptus Astartes units gets targeted by attacks, either by shooting or melee attacks. When this happens, you use the Armor of Contempt stratagem for 1 command point. And until the end of this attack sequence, so the attacking units, all shots, all melee attacks counts in the sequence, you worsen their armor penetration characteristic by 1. In the ancient times, so before the update, it held for the whole phase, whole shooting, whole fighting, so pump up the defenses of units greatly, or even immensely, combined with other stratagems and cover, but that's not the case now. So you have to use this much more considerately. It's still great, but you have to use against those attacks that are count the most. But not dying is always worth the command point. Okay, let's check out the next one. Only in death does duty ends. This is a cool stratagem. However, it's a bit spicy. I mean, pricey. Although it is spicy as well. You can use it in the fight phase. After an enemy unit selected a target. You can use it on one of your Adeptus Astartes units until the end of the phase, each time when a model in that unit dies or get destroyed and that unit has not fought yet, it can fight back. So basically a last FU from your models. It is an extremely useful tool if you know that one of your unit can do a lots of damage, but in that fight you won't be the first one to fight. Because even if they die, they can drag down that enemy unit with them as well. And that's a fair exchange. if you have the command points. Okay, let's check out the next one. Another chapter. You can use this one in the fight phase. It costs 1 command point, and it is an extremely good tool for combat. You can use it on one of your Space Marine units. What does it do? It will give your weapons the lance ability, which means if you made the charge move in this turn, you can add 1 to your wound rolls. And let me tell you that is a great stuff. Just think about that. You have a Space Marine, and he only have a pencil or butter knife, but still, he can wound a Warlord Titan on a 5+. So, it's a great damage multiplier. However, I'm not done yet. Because if you use this ability when your Assault Doctrine is active, you can add 1 to the armor penetration characteristic of your melee weapons. And in case of the Assault Intercessors, for example, armor penetration 2 chainswords with lots of rerolls just go straight to things. Armor penetration 3 power weapons for the Blade Guard veterans that are wounding on a 2+ maybe. So yeah, with this one you can pack a punch. Let's check out the next one. Adaptive Strategy. 1 command point. You can use this in your command phase. You can select 1 Adeptus Astartes unit from your army. When you selected that unit, you can choose between your 3 doctrines: Devastator, Tactical, Assault. And until your next command phase, for that unit, your chosen doctrine will be active. And you can use this even if that doctrine was activated before. Good stuff. Advancing and charging Terminators, or advancing and shooting Land Raiders. Nice. Let's check out the last 2. First one, Storm of Fire. For 1 command point. You can use this in your shooting phase. You can select 1 Adeptus Astartes unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, your ranged weapons will have the ability to ignore cover. So in this case, they will ignore the cover bonus of your enemy. And that's really nice. However, if you use this ability on a unit that has Devastator Doctrine active, so the Run and Gun Doctrine, you can also improve the armor penetration characteristic of the weapons by 1, which is also a really great damage improvement. For 1 command point, this is a really good deal, especially if you use it someone with lots of shots. For example, a Land Raider, a Redemptor, or an Aggressor squad. It makes them much more deadlier. But we are coming to the end of the stratagems, and let's talk about the last one. Squad Tactics. You can use this one in your opponent's movement phase, when the enemy unit just finished the normal move, an advance, or a fallback. In this case, you can target 1 Adeptus Astartes infantry or mounted unit, that the enemy finished the move within 9 inches. If you use this one, your unit can make a normal move up to d6 inches. However, if your Tactical Doctrine is active, you can move 6 inches, a flat 6. So much more mobility. It is really great stuff for 1 command point. However, one restriction, you can't use it on a unit that is within engagement range, so in active melee fighting. All in all, this detachment will give you extreme flexibility, chance to make reactions from the moves of your opponent. You can improve your damage output in specific doctrines when you need it, and you can give yourself a great mobility boost. And the mobility boost is just a really great stuff all in all, because movements win you games most of the time. However, the drawback maybe it's a jack of all trades, master of none. However, that is not a bad thing, because you will have a reaction for almost anything and everything that your opponent will throw at you. Maybe it has a little bit higher learning curve, because you have to remember the combinations, but if you use the combinations at the right time, in the right doctrine, it will give you much greater benefits than almost in any other detachment. It's when the stars align kind of setup. Because when the stars align, you can make your aggressors with sustained hits 1 and little hits 3 points of armor penetration bolters just chew through things. But for that, some things have to be aligned, yes. Okay, I will start to rant, so I have to stop myself. All in all, great detachment, flexible, it gives you great tools to make the best of your models. I would recommend this detachment for players that like to mix things. Shooting units, melee units, Terminators that like to be both shooty and punchy. So you can make the most out of any and every doctrine that you can use. The Gladius Task Force is approved. That's it for now. Thank you for watching and listening. If you like what I do, please consider liking, subscribing, or both, and even hit the little bell. And I hope I see you in the next one. See ya!